it should have been done earlier, but would just give me a kind of a feeling about who we are in this room right now, and what kind of interactions will be meaningful, and the time that we spend together, how fruitful it would be for you. So just take a minute to answer some of the very basic questions in the Google form that you have just received in the chat. So just let me see if you can access that, and open up, submit. Just takes a minute, but will be good to have that. Because considering the title of this, 5 days sessions that you've been having, I'm sure you've heard a lot about AI. Also, you are already learned gathering here, so you might have already experienced AI in different formats. So it will just give me a kind of a feeling about, what we are looking forward to, and what you know or what you don't know, so that I don't spend too much time on something which you are very familiar with already. Waiting to see your responses coming in. So one response has come in, and I've kept it anonymous, so your name is not being asked and your emails are not being collected. So feel free to answer. I think that is always a good one when we are, meeting in this place where I don't see you and you are able to see me. So keeping it anonymous as of now. Okay. Not too many responses have come in, but I'm going to give you a minute and then I'm sharing my screen as well, so that we can get started without much delay, and get to know the room as well in the meantime. So putting up my screen, and let's see here. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be talking about, Gemini, and I see already many of you are familiar with Notebook LM, which is absolutely a wonderful tool. So we will not spend too much time on looking at the Notebook LM unless you ask for it. But definitely, it's interesting to see the kind of responses that have come in, and this is actually what you have given me so far. So you are looking at, gathering, which is ranging from 1 to 5, more people in the median. And you are familiar with guided learning, some of you deep research. I see a lot of you have experimented with Canvas. That's always great. But no takers for gems, and brainstorming, writing assistance, emails, code generation, summarization, image editing. Perfect. Okay, nice. And you are here to learn the basics. And then again, very neat division of the pie chart happening as well, which is always good, because in a group of 60 people we all are at a different learning path. How much time we have had or how much exposure we have had, that is possibly what is showing in this graph right now. So thank you for sharing your responses. Although only 11 have submitted so far, it would have just helped, but I can sense and extrapolate from here that we are going to be in a mixed gathering. So with that, I think I'll be happy to take this forward and then, go from there. Um, okay. No, do we have to be familiar in learning through sessions, or how well we have experience? I'm not too sure what that question is, but if it is directed to me, then I'm not too sure what that means. But no, I'm not expecting any familiarization or preparation for this session. I'm only checking this so that I target and I spend time more or less depending on which feature you are more comfortable with. That was the idea. So thank you so much, for giving me point of reference to start with. And again, as one saw that you have used, some of you have used, some of you have not used Gemini, but maybe another AI chat bot or any other AI tool as a generative AI tool, perhaps. So that is how, the world is going right now. We are all still learning, although it's been good, almost 4 years now, that announcement from OpenAI came, and everyone started wondering as to, what's happening, what is this generative AI. And when it became so accessible that even a person who's not fully literate also is talking in the language of chat gpt, because that was the first tool that everybody got amazed at, that it can do so much with not any technical information or background. But that is what has changed now. There are more tools that came up. Google took its own time in testing and trying and failing and then learning to build up the AI tool. Again, as the, any hardcore googler would say, AI is nothing new for them, it's always been around. But Gemini, or before that what they called as the Bard, that is their more of a tool which is in sync with the idea of the large language models. So you're looking at the how Gemini came in, and then in the last, I would say even last 1 month, so much new has come in Gemini, so much is happening every day. If you don't keep up with, what's coming in a tool, you somewhere or other kind of get lost and get overwhelmed when you revisit it. So just to share, yesterday I did one online webinar with NCRT on Notebook LM. And today, as I was going through some Google blog posts, there was another new, very recent update that has yet to roll into Notebook LM that was announced. That is, you can now use even Google Sheets as a source in Notebook LM. So far, we could only convert a notebook in the Notebook LM, Google Sheets into a PDF and then use them. So again, those who said that they have become familiar with Notebook LM would relate to what I have just said. But that's the pace with which AI has, is changing, and it is challenging us. So, I'm a school teacher. My interaction with the students is different than, and their limitations are little different than the generation and the students that you are teaching if you are teaching at a university level. So, in schools, still things are under control. They are doing maybe homework using certain
Sorry to
chatbot.
disturb you, ma'am. Actually, only
Yeah.
your Google form is visible to us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I haven't changed any slides, so I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are looking at a possibility of a lot of things that are going to come in, but with Gemini and with other chatbots, each one of us is getting challenged. And this is where, you're looking at as a possibility of um, need of the day is that we need to stay in touch. And every time I meet various educators, I was waiting to again check this response changing in the sheet, but only 13 had given. So anyway, I'm closing that. But at the same time, what I see is we are still all at a different level of familiarity with Gemini or any AI tool, which is how it will be. We'll all take our own time in reaching that level where we can say, I'm better and have understood everything. So today's session will bring across again what I have learned and what I would like to share, and you can put your perspectives in and see how these features, how this power helps you in your context. So again, thank you so much for having me here. As I said, I'm an educator, hardcore educator for more than 3 decades, and still learning, still growing, and enjoying that journey as well. The Gemini that I am talking about is preferred and is advocated to be used as Gemini for education. You do have Gemini available in your consumer accounts that is your Gmail accounts. But Gemini for Education comes with its of the privacy that it brings with it, that assurance that it brings with it, that the data that is collected with all the chats that are done in Gemini, they will not be used to further train the models. So that is definitely advocated. I'm not too certain if the institutions where you are working are associated with Google Workspace for Education. If they are, then you are already benefiting with this privacy assurance that comes with any kind of a Google app that you may be using, and it gets carried forward in the same with the Gemini and Notebook LM as well. And these are free, as you are possibly experiencing. If you are looking for a license based product, then you have other models like Gemini Pro, which again would then be, of course, license based. But this is something which I wanted to highlight, that Gemini is available as a consumer, as a regular Gmail user. But within education, it becomes all the more important, and for your students as well, that their data does not become public data, and it does not become used by other LLMs to grow. So this is something which might help us to keep our perspective in. Again, why we would use any kind of an AI tool? I think some of you did mention, the range in which you have been using them. And one of the first and foremost is it saves a lot of time. It saves so much time that today, when I started doing certain tasks and I realized that I don't have my principal, she took some handwritten notes as I was discussing something with her, and then she said she has to go to a meeting. Can you now just put that in a document that I can carry with me? And I was like, I have only 10 minutes to do that. So all I did was took the picture of her notes, handwritten notes, which were almost 5 pages, and asked Gemini to transcribe that, to just put that into a typed format, bulleted, and it just did that magically in more less than 2 minutes. So, and I could then put that in a Google Doc and share it with her, and she took that document with her. So you're looking at that saving time happening there. Making learning personal, very important. Customizing it for our students, customizing it with the context that we are teaching, and making sure that each student gets there, uh, which is very, very difficult. Even in a classroom of 30 students, and if you have 80 students in your classroom, I think it would be almost impossible to take care of. At the same time, you are looking for those creative ideas which will attract your students to come to your class. You would want them to be engaged, also keeping in mind how now the attention span has reduced. You want to come up with something which will keep them on their feet. So that is where you are looking at making use of any kind of AI, and Gemini would support that. Also, you are looking at some other uh, way or opportunities to give or build up that confidence in your students. Again, that is where Gemini would help you as an educator to understand how to do that, how to bring those opportunities for the students and for yourself as well, and keeping in mind that your data will remain private and secure. So that's the promise that Gemini comes with, especially Gemini for education. Again, there are different kind of, as I said, changes are happening so fast. There, the latest one that we are looking at could be more than 2.5 Pro, but you definitely have the most capable one right now is 2.5 Pro. But more are in the making, and more updates are going to come in. That is a paid version, but 2.5 flash is equally strong, which is what I'm going to demonstrate for most of the time. Of course, your students had the chance to earn the license of 2.5 Pro for a year. I think that offer is now closed, but till 15 September, they could apply with their valid date identity card and could access that license for a year. So all of this is coming through based on the learning principles that Gemini and Google follow, with the understanding of bringing in inclusivity, with the understanding of giving them space to experiment, etc. So all of this is built with that confidence. And of course, Gemini app is available to all users of students, whether they are age 13 plus or 18 plus. So for younger kids, 13 plus, there is a Gemini for teens as well, which we can, as in schools, if I have Google Workspace for Education, then our admin can activate that license at the back, and their organization unit, students organization unit, will access Gemini for teens only, and for rest it will be the 18 plus. So that's the also an advantage. But if you are dealing with age group 18 plus, then everything is already taken care of. A quick look at some of the use cases, and I could see already when you submitted the form that you are using them to Gemini or any other AI tool for brainstorming, for creating new ideas or writing certain drafts. So definitely, if you are in research uh, field, you might be applying for certain grants. You can very easily write grant proposals, putting in the request that you may want, alumni outreach, templates, newsletters, recommendation letters, email to parents and any other person that you may be communicating with. Summarization is also one point I saw that many of you are trying to make use of. So summarizing long documents definitely is one of the benefit of having AI. You don't have to read pages after pages, and it would beautifully summarize and give you the heads up. Analyze the data. If you have Gemini in Workspace, you would be able to analyze the data, create templates for budget proposals, etc. We did talk about brainstorming, and of course, to create this professional development materials. If you ask whether it is professional development materials, or if you are training or your students to do something, or creating a project guide, or giving them ideas for their thesis, all of them are coming in right by just asking Gemini the right way and the right style, and giving those specific details with which the answer is going to come in. And that is where we are looking at the chatbot, because it's going to chat with you. What goes in is what is going to matter. If you're already familiar with Gemini, then this is what you would possibly find as a structure. On the left panel is where your chats are going to be saved, and we will look at the lower some icons that are appearing here, where there is a gems manager, and again there are settings that you can choose. And if you have the license for Gemini in Workspace, then you can connect the Workspace apps again from here to Gemini. And I'll try to, going by the time, we'll try to showcase what the advantage of that is. And then you have the four specific tools in Gemini chatbot, where we are looking at deep research, canvas, images, and also guided learning are coming in. And of course, this is the prompt area. You can also speak your prompt rather than type. It's absolutely responsive to the audio as well. Again, as I said, it's very important for us to know what we are going to ask any AI to. So there are various formats that are recommended by different people, experts who have possibly experimented with different kind of chatbots, whether it is Claude or Perplexity or Chat GPT, and they've all kind of built up their um, various formats, in which you should follow, or how you should write a prompt. Gemini has always advocated what is called as the parts format. So when we are looking at the parts format, this is the way that it looks. So I hope you are able to see the next page that has come up. I'm not able to see my own screen in WebEx. Is that possible to see here? When I share my screen, I'm not able to see that. But let me know if you are able to see a change of the page now. How to write a prompt is what you should be able to see. Is that correct? I hope you are able to see what I have put out. Can someone give me a confirmation?
Yeah, we are able
Yes.
to see better. Sure.
Okay. Okay. Because
Only
I have
thing,
to
if you
change
want,
the tab.
yeah, if you want to go to different windows, you can keep Alt Tab as a cycle.
No, that I'm doing, but I'm not able to see my own screen along with the chat.
Okay.
So I wanted to just, so I'm just revisiting that. Okay, got it. All right, so let's take a look at this, structure suggested by Google. Again, everything can be modified. There are no hard and fast rules. When you are thinking about making use of any kind of AI chatbot, but this is what is advocated: persona, aims, recipient, theme, structure. You don't have to use all five components, but the idea or suggestion is that when you are writing a prompt, keep these five building blocks in mind. And thinking of this, starting with persona, identify the role. Either you start with I am so and so, or you say as an math department lead, or as or you are a Spanish educator. So I or you can give that a role to the Gemini, or you can say that this is my role and this is what I want to do. So that's your persona for P. Aim, state your objective. What do you want to do? You want to create an assessment, or you want to brainstorm ideas. So that comes under the A block, aims. And recipient, specify who the audience is. So if you are looking for your BTech year 2 students, then what kind of a course, what kind of a context that you are looking for, that need to be specified, so that the output is modeled to exactly the audience that you would be working with. So that is what recipients is. So specify the audience who will be consuming the output, or on which this lesson plan or the artifacts that are going to come out will be applied and used. Then comes the theme. What kind of tone, what kind of a structure you need that output to have. So theme is where they're talking about you can use a formal voice, write no more than 50 words, or sometime if you're teaching a concept to a higher ed student, but they're not able to understand it, you can always say, explain or express this concept in terms of maybe a 15-year-old student who has never heard of so and so concept. So how do we explain? Because sometimes you really get tired of explaining the same concept and still the students are not able to understand. So if you want to look for an alternative, a simpler, watered down version of it, maybe you want some kind of analogies coming in, you want certain role play to come in, then you're looking at taking help of this kind of a description that goes as part of your prompt. And then, of course, last but not the least, the structure. What kind of format do you want to come out of the chat? So you can ask the AI tool to use bullet points, metaphors or analogies, sketches or graphs, quizzes or games, codes, or even emojis. So you can try, when you try some of them right now, you can try to put any of these ideas as well. That is how it would respond. If you want something to come out in a tabulate as a tabular format, which you can then export to Google Sheets, you will have to ask for it. You will have to say that, put the output or write this in a tabulated format. And then the format that would come in will be easy to export right into a Google Sheet. So that is the idea that you are looking for. And let's try some of these ideas into the um, directly into the chatbot and modify any one of these prompts that I'm going to share with you, so that you can take a look at that. So let me show you some of the prompts that I have compiled, thinking that it may work for you. So I'm going to take a minute to open up that for you and see if this would help us in any of the situations. So think of any one of these cases that you may want to start with. So maybe you want to design a lecture, and you're looking at, I'm going to copy and paste some of them so that you can try. Maybe we can try one of the grant proposal. So if you are looking for building up a certain research, you can try to use this template too. I am so and so in this field, researcher at the type of institution. You need not give the name of the institution, because you may be using your consumer account and therefore your data is open. So please avoid using specific names of institutions, of your students, whenever you are engaging with any AI tool. Specializing in what area of specialization? So type of institution, you can only say at higher ed. You need not talk about the name of the institution. You can say a technology institution. You can say a business management institution. And then you are looking at suggest some potential grants to apply for and help create. So you are also going to give the context of that you are working in which part of the world. So whether you are working in an Indian, you might have to specify, or you are looking for an international grant. So those is something which you will know better, considering that you are experienced in using such kind of discussions that are coming in. So I'm putting this for convenience in the chat. If you would want to just, copy and paste into the Gemini, it might go easy for all of you. And we can, or you can use any other prompt that you want to try. So far, I'm only talking about the chatbot. I've not used any specific tool for Gemini. We'll take a look at that. And this is how the Gemini looks. And there is a model of 2.5 flash right now showing in. If I click on the drop down there, you will be able to see that I do have 2.5 Pro, but it comes with limited tokens. So sometime you are not conscious of this, and if it starts working with Pro or by default, after a while it will say that you have exhausted the tokens for the day, and then you can try again tomorrow, like 24 hours later. Good thing is that now the latest development, you can change the model in between the chat as well. Otherwise what would happen is your previous chat could not be continued. So it's okay if you don't realize and start with the 2.5 Pro. But here is where I am now pasting exactly what I gave you. And I'm going to change this a little, and maybe you can suggest if you would be happy to participate. So you can say, I am a what researcher. Maybe you can say head of computer department, and you're looking at a researcher at a technology institution, and researching in, well, why not, let's do research in AI. That's the need of the day. Suggest some potential grants to apply for and help create. So help create what? So I'm looking at a grant proposal, right, to fund. So now you need to look at to fund a research on maybe impact of AI in higher education. Let's see if this works for all of us. If you have tried something else, feel free to share that prompt. And all you're doing is, I'm just going by looking at, even if I have a spelling error, I can see there. I'm just going ahead and pressing that arrow to submit the prompt. So that is what, you can see instantly generating. It has resulted in this entire format. That's a fantastic and timely research focus, and you are ideally positioned, potential grant opportunities. And it has, I'm not restricted to any particular region, but it always tracks where I am. And it knows actually my profile as well, for that matter. So there are certain things that can get influenced, but you're looking at all of this data has come in. Now you are the judge to say whether they are meaningful organization. I'm no National Science Foundation, etc. But every time you get any output, you need to always make sure that it is factually correct as well before we accept it. But that is of course something to be always concerned with. And you are looking at all of this generation of the content coming in. These are the names of the institutions and the grant type that have come in. And take a look at the format it has followed. There is a certain tabular format by default. If I scroll down, you can see there is an export to sheets. So if I click on export to sheets, it will export this to a Google Sheet. So if you look at the little black ribbon at the bottom of the screen, there is a export to sheets. I can open sheets, and you will see that same data has now got transferred to a Google Sheet, which then of course I can format somehow or other. It doesn't give very neat columns, but I can always format it, do whatever is needed. I'm compulsively a formatted, I cannot leave data just hanging like that. Need to do certain fixing of it before I show it to you. But that's what it is. It's just turned it into a nice table, and then you can start hunting around, checking the resources whether that they are meaningful or not. Going back to the chat, what else are we looking at here? You are looking at grant proposal outline. Very, very important. It's given you the outline, not exact proposal built up. Cover page, project summary, abstract, introduction and problem statement, giving the justification, research objectives, of course, the SMART goals you are looking at, methodology and research design, expertise and personal. You can then put all of your, information there. It practically is the style that you may want. Now, again, it also asks you, do you need any more help? Would you like me to help draft a compelling project summary and abstract? So you can continue with this chat. You can iterate on your prompt as well if you have not got the correct response. So before we, shift our focus to more than chat, take a good look in case you are not familiar with the Gemini basic tools. Right here, if it's a bad response, do give a bad response, icon, so that there is a feedback going in. But if you want to ignore that, let it be. How do I take this data from Gemini out and usable? One was export to sheets. Other is you can copy your response from here. Good option is to click on this share icon. You can share this conversation, that is this entire conversation of Gemini, as a Gemini link. Export to docs is the best option, because then you can share that doc with another member with whom you want to collaborate perhaps, or you have it in the doc and then you can start editing and building your grant proposal. If you wish to have it in mail, again, depending on what you have made, you can move this into your mail as well. So I saw some of you have picked the choice of that you have used it to create email drafts. So if you've used Gemini to create email drafts, you can take this right from here into your Gmail as well. Another little thing that I wanted to highlight are these three dots, often known as, the snowman. If you click on that, very important is double check response. So if you want to check whether you have, search or build up something which is more factual based, are these responses correct or not, or are these all fabricated suggestions of institutions which don't even exist? You can do this double check response. Click on that double check response. It will go back and check the data or information that has been shared, and then it will give a message as to whether it is, all correct or not. There was another thing here, listen. So if you don't want to read all that content that has been generated, you can listen to that entire chat as well. So that is definitely very basic way of using any kind of a prompt, but it was built on the parts model, where you are looking at what kind of a format and what kind of a role that you have, etc., that has been defined. Give me a sign in the chat if you tried any one of the prompt right now, because I did hear that this is your second session of the day. Are you still around? Are you with me on this? Did you try it? Let's hear in the chat if you can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever way works for you. Come on. We are all professors, and I have to also say at this point, I'm not a professor, so sorry. Some of you might get misled. So thanks to person who introduced me, but I'm not a professor, but I am in gathering of professors here. So definitely let me know if you have tried anything alongside. I haven't got any response here. Come on, are you around? Yes, no, maybe. Do we have emojis here? We do have reactions. So you can give reactions as well in WebEx. Easier to do that. Okay, not getting any response. Sorry. Okay, let's then avoid that. And thank you, Dr. Aki. But just simple response helps, just like in a class, you want to know whether your students are listening to you or not. That's what we are doing here, and trying to see if you're still awake, because it's definitely end of the day. But let's move on from here and talk about other features that we are interested in. So what are the other features that you might be interested to know or have not experienced, because this you could have done in any other chatbot as well. So let's start exploring some of the other tools that you find in Gemini. These are the tools that we are interested in. And again, if you are writing a research grant proposal, definitely deep research is something that will interest you. And what does deep research do, or what deep research is with an understanding that you are looking for, digging deeper into a certain topic that you are perhaps interested in. So again, deep research is something which lets you do that research which is not done with just two or three resources, but hundreds of websites that are available. And it does take longer than the response that you saw right now coming to our chat, but it's worth the wait. So this is something which is important. Again, what can you do deep research of? It depends on your interest. So if you are looking for a person who's working in a certain field, all you have to think of is the prompt that you're going to compose. and put that in the but chat box, sorry. But before you press that submit button, you will have to select the deep research tool. So once you select the deep research tool, then it starts processing your request, and it will start guiding you, showing you what it is thinking about, what's its action will be as the deep research starts. You can change the flow of the research at that point, because you will get the opportunity to edit that flow or plan that deep research is going to follow. Once you approve that deep research flow and click on start the research, it will start scrounging for all the websites that it can identify related to the prompt that you have put, and then starts the compilation of the report. So definitely lot of work goes into doing this. So sometimes it can take 3 to 4 minutes or longer, but then compared to the output that it generates, you will realize that it is certainly worth the wait. So just to give you an experience of that, I have tested this prompt for you, and I composed it keeping in mind the level that you might be at. So I have thought of, as a IT admin, I want to compare the guidelines from IT Act in India along with UGC and AICTE guidelines for security in higher education institutions with the features of Google Workspace for Education Plus. Because Google Workspace for Education Plus is the highest tier, which comes with all kind of promise of level of security and privacy that it brings with it. And of course it also has many other features of AI in Google Classroom also. And then I have asked for this mark few mandatory aligning with policies and act, and few good to have for any prominent and larger higher institution. The this prompt I tried and tested and used some chatbots to put together as well. It resulted in a report which I'm going to open up and show you as to what it looks like in Gemini. So this is what it starts with as the report that came in, and it kind of ran into number of pages. So just that one prompt has resulted in this comparison. Again, you are the ones who, if you are in IT admin side or IT security experts, you would be able to spend time on it, looking at it and seeing how relevant it is. But I'm only talking about in terms of the output that it generated as a basic report itself, starting with also giving categorization, certain one would say topics and subtopics, very nicely formatted as well. Now let me take you to the Gemini itself and identify what it looks here with the instructions as well as the process that has gone behind the scene. So let's go to the chat, and this is where you find all the chats that you have done. Right on the left side, here are all the chats that you do, and you can see I do have many chats, but this is where what I have just kept ready for you. So this is what it looks like. Let's go back to just the initial prompt first. So this was the prompt that I just used, and this is the research plan that deep research brings up. And then once I have approved start research, then it started generating that research. When I open this research, this is what you get to see. What you saw earlier was only this research part, because I clicked on share and export, and I used this link from here, which was hyperlinked with my slides. I'll talk about again if you're keen to know how else you can use it. But this is where I took out only the part of the report and showed to you. So this is not where it ends. This is where it actually starts, because you've got now the report created. And now if you look at other things on the top, share and export, export to docs, copy content, this is something very basic. But along with that, there is also a create button. And this is where you can see 5 other ways of understanding this report is possible. You can create an entire web page out of this report. You can create infographics, which are always helpful when you want to present your project or research. If you are doing this with your students, there is a research that has been done along with the students, or students have done a research and they've shared their data with you, and you want to quiz them or they want to quiz their classmates. A quiz can be created on entire content. If it is a study material, flashcards are helpful. And if it is too long to read, an audio overview can also be created. So again, since these things take a little longer time in a live demo, I did keep something ready for you. And this is what you would be able to see coming up right now. So let's see what generated. And this is the correct one that I have opened up here. Right. So I asked to create a web page. So take a look at the kind of a web page that it has created. This is the web page it has created with, the total features analyzed, mandatory for compliance, breakdown by status, good to have, and then it has also created these filters. This is all by default based on the prompt and the content that has come in. And if I want to say, look at data protection and privacy, and I want to look at mandatory only, then it will filter. And data loss prevention is one of the strengths of Google Workspace as Education Plus. Plus, it is aligning with other IT acts as well, and encryption. So these are the two that it has highlighted. But if I take something else, threat preventions, incidents, etc., then mandatory is only this. Let's see if we have good to have only as well. So it suggests more other features as well. So this is all happening without any coding from your end. But behind all of this is the code that went into it. And I am absolutely a zero code person. I have absolutely no experience, but I'm enjoying this opportunity of vibe coding, which allows you to create all of these magical artifacts. And if you wish to, put this into a website, you can copy this code and go into even your Google site, and you can embed or any other HTML platform that you would be comfortable with. Another feature that has come in is, as I said, create would allow you to create an audio overview. So I did that as well, because sometimes it takes time. So the entire report has been now summarized by an audio overview, for 5 minutes 17 seconds. I'm going to play this. Somebody will have to give me a sign to say whether you can hear it or not, because sometimes over these video calls the audio gets lost. Can you hear it or no? Great. Thank you, Radhakrishnan. Just checking. Were you not able to hear the audio? Umesh ji has said no, so not too sure. Could you hear it? No, is what I'm hearing. Some people are able to hear. That's interesting. But it is a kind of a podcast style, which is what Notebook LM is famous for as well. So not too sure why some are able to hear. So this is typically, what, because when I share the link, it will actually share that entire conversation. So I'm not doing that. But you can download this kind of a conversation, and you can create it into or turn it into a podcast, just like one of the ways people are using book LM as well. But that is the understanding that you can have, that just with the deep research you can have multiple pages document created. You can create an infographic. You can turn it to a quiz or a flashcard if it is a content that you are interested in doing research with your students, which would help them to revise or review certain concepts that they are interested in. But the choices are depending on what content, what context you are working with. So I hope deep research is something that has been of interest to you, and you will be able to use this in future. But some of the use cases that can be suggested, of course you will know better, would be for your planning, for assessment as well. You can compare alternative grading systems in higher education, like ungrading, mastery based grading, contact grading, etc. Instructional materials can be created through deep research. You can also take deep research for supporting students with certain functioning challenges, etc. Also for the administrative task. So what does recent research say about the impact of AI on K-12 or in higher education? You can also look at the trends, pilot programs, leadership considerations, so that when you are pitching for a grant at a certain time, or a pilot to run in your institution, you have enough of data or enough of backup material to take you through. And of course, the research, examine the body of research on the effectiveness of any topic. Here I have written or got inquiry based learning in science, etc. So every one of them, depending on who you are, what field you are in, you will be able to think of making use of the deep research in a different ways, looking at the possibility and the power that Gemini has for you. So again, checking if this is something which you are thinking about, useful for you, not useful for you. Give me some kind of indication before we go into the canvas. Let me know in the chat. I'm going to take a minute to have a sip of water, and let's see if you would be interested to share your experience of deep research in the chat with me. Anyone managed to create the audio overview? Okay, so I would suggest that take time, play with it. It's painless, and do try out creating the website, web page, infographic, audio overview. It would really be nice. It would be good fun to see how it helps you and impacts you. Another important and interesting aspect of Gemini is Gemini Canvas. And I did notice that some of you had mentioned that you have tried Canvas. But if you have tried Canvas, then my next question would be to ask you, what did you create, using the Canvas? But the Canvas is in Gemini is mainly used to create something. And it's not just a text output that you would want. You can use it for text output as well, but it's basically more powerful when you want to create some kind of an interactive element. So it's meant for an interactive space where your ideas can turn into a very professional looking content which is interactive. So as I said that I have absolutely zero coding experience, but if I do wish to create a certain interactive to app which possibly is in my head, but I don't know how to create, as long as I am able to explain what I want in plain simple language, then Gemini Canvas will do that. It will translate into it. I'm sharing some very basic examples with you right now. For example, a classroom timer. I'm a teacher who follows a timer kind of a routine in the class, because experience has taught me that as educators, we are impatient. And I give a question to my class, and then I start solving. I don't give too much time for my students to um, try it out on their own. So I had been using, ever since we went online in COVID and so on, I had been using some extensions in Chrome which were helping me to do that timer. But then it was getting a little boring, and then I tried my first, in fact, vibe code was done to create this timer. So if I am looking for a timer created from here, if I just say this is in minutes but this is in seconds, so I can take this to be just 15 seconds, and I just started, then it will kind of go around, change the color as the time elapses. It will be able to give me an indication, and so if I can set it for 2 minutes for students to think about how to start the question, not 2 minutes to finish, and then it will give me a little knock 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 times up kind of thing. So these kind of timers are now added in my Chrome as bookmarked in my Chrome, and I can then use them whenever I want. So this is the very basic elementary one. Some of you in the meeting today might be great experts in coding, but if you're not expert or not experienced coding, these are magical things, because you wonder, how did anyone do or create something like this, or how did anyone create those Pac-Man kind of games, or even a tic tac game that you just saw. So they are magical, they are very difficult to think about. Or these kind of activities which I would always recommend various websites for, where there are drag and drop activities that are created for students of all ages. So if I'm looking at teaching fractions to my students, and I want to talk about 1 by 3, and the student is connecting this 1 by 3 with this one, it's not allowing it. But if I take this 1 by 3 here, then we are looking at, well, it should connect together. So you're looking at as a possibility of that. Why is it not connecting right now? I have to test run. But I restart the activity, because I must have played with it just as I was testing everything. So I'm looking at that connect happening. It's getting highlighted. 1 by 2 getting connected again with this. Well, something live demo never works, but it does work. These are now created with simple Gemini only, and I can again add them into my Google site, or share them as of now just with the code as it is. Tower of Hanoi is again one of the very popular mathematical game which you can play with 2 days or 5 days and 4 days. Sometimes it is very tedious to think about, but you are looking at as a possibility of the game being solved. Of course, in this one it was only 2 pegs. So these are all created with vibe coding, and I have only expressed the requirement in plain English to Gemini, and asked it to code for me. Not only mathematical games, it can be anything that you are interested in. you will be able to ask it to create something like that. So for example, this one, which is AI history guessing game. So I can give instructions that now this is what a kind of a timeline that has been created with certain blanks, and each of these timeline cards will be able to give me some additional information, and you have to decide what kind of a decade is this, development in AI timeline associated with. So if you are looking at, whether you know it or not, but if you are familiar with it, you will be able to, put the year or decade, not even year, it's a decade that it has talked about. So these are the interactive activities that you can create in Canvas. So again, what would you like to create is your call. What would be interest to you? You have to take a decision in terms of, how, or what your requirements are. So again, I'm not too sure of, the level and subjects that you will be talking about, so can't really customize the prompt for you. But think of what you would like to create. Maybe you want to create a simple physics simulation that shows a ball falling under gravity. Use Python, show how to adjust the gravity time and object mass, explain what each part of the code does. Explaining in words is what you need to do. And before you submit this prompt, make sure that you have clicked on the Canvas tool. That's an important part. Otherwise, it will not respond. So think of what you would like to try out, and we can do a live demo for that. But giving you a minute to think of something simple, not very complicated. So what would you like to create in Canvas? If this has excited you to try something of your own, right now, or we can just create a timeline only. Would you want to just create a timeline like I showed right now? Give me a sign. What would you like to create in Gemini Canvas? Try that on your own. And I'm going here to Gemini, and always start a new chat, because right now this is the deep research chat that is showing right now on my screen. So let that stay there. Let's go to new chat. And here is where I'm going to ask, or put the prompt. I have the prompt of the AI ready with me, which I've copied and pasted. But again, before you submit this, this is the tools button. Click on tools and select the canvas. This is important. Submit the prompt. So let's see what it generates. It may take long. Sometime it may not give you what you are wanting. And that is where the iteration comes. You can continue with the chat and tell it to do what you are expecting it to behave as. To the extent that you can also command what kind of color combinations you want, perhaps. So if you have an institution color with you available, which you want to follow, maybe red and blue, or white and red, you can tell it that, design it in the language, in the format of. So again, it looks almost same as that I had created earlier, but it's also showing some error. Something went wrong, and there was a problem when running your code. What can you do? Fix error. Just click on fix error. Sometime the the speed of the net, sometime maybe I'm getting too impatient and I start interacting with what is coming up. That might happen. So if I just close this right now, let's see if it has done the job. So it has given you some kind of a timeline, and it says hover over an event on the timeline to see a quick summary, or click an event to read the full detail. So I can click on this. I have clicked, not hovered. it has opened up that card and it is telling me the details of the Turing's test proposal. So you're looking as that, and then birth of AI, when the term was, coined in the Dartmouth conference. 1956 is the year that, the word artificial intelligence or the term artificial intelligence was coined. There's something Eliza chatbot, that's again a significant. So you don't need to be an expert of everything. I have absolutely no idea of many of these things that are showing up, but I can learn from there. So I can again click on 2016 card and understand what was happening in 2016. And then if you go further down, you are looking at what is called as the generative AI breakthrough. So foundation models like ChatGPT and Dell AI were achieved mainstream popularity, and you would agree that that's exactly what happened in 2022. So it has built this entire timeline for you. You can take the, share the link from here and share it with your students if you would like to, or as I did, I copied the code from here and I took it to my Google site, and I have embedded this code in my Google site so that I have some examples ready to show, as and when, or some games to play when I want to demonstrate them. So that is how you are looking at, simple way to create. I think still something is missing in this, so I might have to, give it another prompt or ask it to check if there is an error, etc., coming in. And I say that there's a space on the top, it's not looking good, can you change that? Or change the color scheme, perhaps let's do the simpler one, color scheme to uh, blue and white. Maybe let's try and see how it performs on that. Again, hoping to hear from you. Did you try to create something simple? Would it help if I give you the command, the prompt in the chat, and you can just copy paste? Okay, so it's going to just change the code, and it has a new look of the entire app. And I was hoping, that this would get covered up. So it's looking now also nice, different, but you are able to see that there is scrolling up. And as you click on a particular card, you will be able to see more of this. Again, not that I'm getting any response from you, but again would love to hear from your side as to, is this something useful? Is this something that you would try at a later time if you are looking at, not now immediately, but would you try creating something at a later time? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, no response. All right. Okay, let's move on. Since not getting the response, it's a little discouraging, but I'm a hardcore teacher. I will continue. Uh, let's move on to what we have not covered when we look at the Gemini chat. And what we are looking at here, let's go on to a new chat. So again here, we have talked about deep research, we have talked about Canvas. Guided learning is again something which might be of interest to you when You want to advise your students on how to make best use of chatbots like Gemini, which are quick to solve problems for you. So when you don't want to get an answer immediately, then guided learning is the tool. Because idea is again, or the concern again is that if these AI are going to do the difficult task for us, the thinking part for us and our students, then how is that going to affect and impact the individual students in their, one would say, cognitive development, in terms of their critical skills that they must learn. So you cannot take away the AI, but you need to advise and guide them to use AI in the best way. And that is where you are making use of tools like guided learning, which says, what do you want to learn? So you may want to learn a concept, but you don't want to start with just saying, okay, give me what this is. So again, I'm going to keep it very simple concept. Suppose I can say I want to learn simple process of science. I want to learn about photosynthesis, easiest, right? So that I can chat, I can talk. I must have some idea about it. I cannot, say I want to learn thermodynamics, because I don't know how to then chat with Gemini on that. So something which I'm familiar with. So it says that's a fundamental concept. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants, algae, etc., do this. Light energy, elementary. Here is the general equation. It's given me equation as well, and it has given me a photosynthesis, video as well. That actually is not really good to have, because I've got everything there. So I can say that, well, I don't so I should have started with saying something like, because I didn't actually give the right prompt. I can say I am a grade 5 student, right? I want to learn about photosynthesis. Let's say how this changes the chat now. And tools, I'm going to click on guided learning and click. So I'm a grade 5 student. I want to learn. It will not throw all the equations to me, because a grade 5 student is not expected to know all the chemical. uh, so this is where it starts with, and that's why the persona is very important. You need to tell who is chatting with Gemini, and then it says, okay, let's start exploring photosynthesis. And you can, again, it gives the analogy of kitchen or food factory, and throws in some emojis as well. And it's going to talk about to start our learning adventure, which part of the process sounds more interesting to you. It does give you a video as well, that you may be able to use or learn. Then it says what would be interest to you. So the plant's ingredient perhaps are what I want to learn. How exactly does a plant get the water, carbon dioxide, etc. I can continue this chat, and I can write the entire sentence, or I can just write the number one. Number one is the point one here, which said the plant's ingredients. And then it will start chatting and talking to me about that part one only. Start asking me some questions. So it says we can look at the different parts of a plant to figure this out. Which part do you think is responsible for soaking up the water from the soil? Again, I've taken a very basic example so that I can respond as well. And you can then, let's say I give an answer as leaves. Let's see what happens. So if I say leaves are responsible for soaking up the water, well, it says that's a clever thought. The leaves are definitely the most important part for making, but let's think about where the plant's water comes from. And then it helps me to understand that water is down in the soil. So the part of the plant that is under, so you're looking at this entire description is dumbed down to the level that the AI is interacting with. It's not giving a direct answer. This is something important that we are looking for in making use of such AI tools, which help you and your students to not take or become just a consumer, but if I had taken a more complex topic, then to complete that conversation, to get that learning out of it, I have to be critical. I have to think in the language that would be correct and meaningful. Even if I give a wrong answer, I'll be guided towards the right one. So that's the advantage of guided learning. So that is something which again is important for you to be aware of, so that when you have this conversation with your students, you should be able to guide them to use these tools in a specific fashion. Moving on, we are looking at, of course, one of the things that I guess you all have experienced is create images. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But if you are looking at create images, what do you want to create? And of course, the nano banana is the icon that is showing, which I think you all must have heard about. How people are using it to create fancy images. But what would you like to describe your image? You have to think about it. So if I'm looking at something which I can just visualize, but it doesn't exist, a creature perhaps which doesn't exist, but I want to just create an image of that, or a person or any other object that I am looking at. This is a place where you can. Nano banana of course has many other powerful, one would say, features of changing the entire background of an image, creating those professional looking headshots for you, or dressing you up in a dress that you don't ever had possessed or can even think of possessing. You can ask it to drape you in whatever attire you want, or to put you in front of Eiffel Tower, etc. So those are all gimmicks which you can have no end playing with and have fun to do as well. So if you are creating something for festivals or to impress your friends, or just for fun, that's where this tool would be useful. In educational perspective, you have to think of how it might help. Maybe if you want to create a presentation, and certain image is something that you want specifically to be designed, then you can make use of it. But of course, Gemini in Google Workspace would also allow you to create those images in Google Slides as well. But that is the way that you can use the images part, which I'm going to leave entirely for you to experiment with and to think about. It's absolutely pleasure fun. Websites, social media is full of even prompts available, which would let you create a figurine style or a 3D style or in a pixel format, all those images that can be done. That is possible from here, and also some of them can be created with help of canvas as well. But we have more to cover, so I'm moving on to the another one, for which in fact the form response that came in was almost zero, because not many of you have used the gems, as per what I could see in the responses that came in. So let's move our focus to gems in Gemini. So gems in Gemini are found again here. On the left panel, you can see there is a new chat icon that we started with. And then, of course, there is something called as temporary chat as well. If you don't want to example, for a person like me, who keeps experimenting, and for every workshop I would have some of them created again and again, but some of them I have also pinned here. So I can pin a certain chants which are going to be important for me, I want to come back to. Some of the chants that we have just created, for example, I can always delete, or if I look at the temporary to be open, then after a while those chats will disappear. But before that, or going into that, these are the gems that we are interested in. Storybook, career guide are two recently used, perhaps showing up as highlighted. But if you click on explore gems, you will be able to see some pre-made gems by Google. So again, would advise you to take a look at your dashboard and see if you are able to see any of these gems in your account. They come under Gem Manager, pre-made by Google. And if you want to see more of them, click on show more. And this is what it looks like: storybook, career guide, brainstormer, learning coach, chess champ. Well, you have also a new one which I had not seen earlier: Women's World Cup, coding partner, writing editor. These are pre-prepared gems. So what exactly do we mean by gems is something that you need to kind of understand, and then move on. So when we think about gems, these are basically uh, chats that have been, or chat bots that have been created, which are your version of Gemini. So there are certain situations and opportunities where you're repeating the same prompt again and again. For example, one of the tasks that you would normally be repeating again and again would be lesson planning, or curriculum development, or creating certain kind of assessment tasks. Or you're looking at keeping your perspective of higher ed in mind. If you are looking for thesis topics, these are the ones that you are searching or using Gemini with at different time, but the same task or same idea is to be used again and again. In those situations, the Gemini gems are helpful. They are the customized versions of Gemini that you can personalize to be experts on any topic. So the gems that you just saw, the gems that you looked at right now, so the first one is very interesting one, which creates customized picture books. Whereas the second one is about career guide. It gives you a plan to what are the skills that you may want to pick up or refine. It would also help you if you ask it to how do we update, or how do we, what elements you must have in your, say, LinkedIn profile, or in your resume, which you might want to put out to in your career growth plans. Brainstormer, then it will only do that job. It will not, a brainstormer will not do the coding. A brainstormer will not talk about the career and speaking skills, etc. So these are special customized gems that have been created from Gemini. These are pre-prepared, but you can create your own gem as well. So you're looking at, some of them that I've been playing around and created, starting with project generator, math quiz, lesson planner, task creator, data analyst, social media helper or assistant, cell division something, assessment analysis. If I'm economics teacher, supply and demand is something that I might be teaching or explaining again and again. And then again, a chemistry tutor also. So these are something which you can design and customize for yourself, whereas these are pre-prepared. So I'm going to show you one of the easiest and most interesting one, perhaps. Yes, you are higher ed, educators here. Maybe this is something you may not be very interested in, but my, believe me, you will enjoy seeing, what, and then maybe take it next level and think of the subject that you are teaching and see how you can introduce, the topic that you are going to teach through a storybook format. So for example, here I can create all, different kind of books, but I can ask Gemini to create a storybook on, let's say, coding, right? For my first year students. Let's see what it, if it matters. First year students in uh, technical institution. I'm not sure how many of you are here from technical branch of, science, or humanities, or medicine. Sorry, but I don't have that background. But create a story on coding for my first year students in technical institution who needs motivation to come to class every day. Create in paper cut style. So you can even give the art a form that the books might follow. So it could be watercolor, it could be Lego style, and so on. So I can say actually Lego style, in Lego style. Let's see what happens. So it's going to create a literally a storybook here. It will pick up some characters who will talk through the idea of coding, and it will add images suitable to that text. So again, yes, it might look like it's something which is a little suitable for younger kids, but again, you need to design your prompt and it will result in the corresponding output for you. Let's take a look at what it's going to generate. In the meanwhile, the various gems that can be created, we can take a good look at few of them here, which I'm going to share as an example. While it opens up, I'm going to try and get another document open to share some ideas with you. Let's see if Gemini has responded. It's still working. Okay, so while it works, let's take a look at some of these examples of gems in Gemini. Again, these are the instructions. So we'll pick one of them and create it from scratch. So assessment analysis. You are an expert data analyst and instructional coach, etc. And this is where it is working from. Do give me an idea of the times, in case I'm running out of time. Am I running out of time? The organizers can give me an idea. I thought there was some alert here.
30
I
minutes
have,
left.
sorry.
You have 30 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
take more if you want.
Yeah. So these are the kind of instructions that we can use to design our gems as we go along. So you can have assessment analysis, cell division, supply demand review. You can even again use a gem to create grant proposal. So because you may be sending out those proposals time and again, or personal email assistant. Again, these are the instructions that we will put when we start creating a particular gem. But right now, this is the kind of a storybook that it has generated. So that's your cover page, and then you can keep turning the page, and this is how it starts looking like. Let's put it in full screen, and you can see, of course, it looks childish to do, but you can see that you are looking at the story coming through. Bite the minifigure side, his tiny plastic head resting on his hand. And of course, why do I even have to read it? Because you can actually listen to it. So you're getting the idea as to, how, even if it looks like a childish thing to do, if at all you want to get the attention of your students, and if you create something suitable to your teaching material, your content, even for a minute or two, you run this through, it is going to be impressively, good hook to start your lesson with. You can use it, just as it is created right now, and play it live. You can also, of course, print, but we don't really want to use this as a printing thing. I think it loses its magic when it's printed on a piece of paper. You can actually give entire experience of turning the pages. You can, looking at, playing the listen button and make it to be a storytelling session. Ask your students to create a storybook so that they can possibly, bring some excitement into the class as well. If you are looking for a personal use, you can also create these for your own children. If you have a younger kid and you want to create specific book for him or her, you can, use this plus sign, upload a file, so you can add image of your child as well here, and you can give the instruction that to celebrate so and so's birthday, and the images that are created should have likeness to this face. So the, that character would, in the image in the storybook, would have a certain likeness to the image that has been shared. And well, that can become your special way of celebrating as well. Again, teachers have used it for teaching. So they have taught maths or concepts of maths, symmetry, the, comparison of fractions when I did workshops with them, because this is how they are building up that motivation for students to be in the class, to be present, to be engaged, to also turn on that little bit of creativity and curiosity in our students, because that is also a big challenge for all institutions, not only for schools but higher education as well. Just to get them into class is a challenge. So when they see something new happening, it's interesting to them. Let's go into a more serious business of gems and see what else we can do. So when I clicked on explore gems, these were the gems that we were looking at. Let's take a minute at this before we create one for ourselves from scratch. So there is one which is pre-prepared by Google Career Guide, and these are, prompts, suggestions as to, how it can be used. You may want to improve a particular skill. Again, this is more suitable for your students, but even if you are one who is still on your path of, the career progression, you can use any one of them. One of these are very important. Students are using AI. One of the most common use of AI is to prepare for interviews, where how to do those human interactions is a challenge. So with behavioral questions, right, how do I prepare for a job interview? Give me advice on how to find a mentor. I would like to improve my presentation skills. That as the prompt, then it kind of gives you this entire plan as to what they must do, what are the things that they must, plan. So audience analysis and content structuring, visual aids and design principles. Even for teachers, you may want to improve your presentation skills in your classroom, because even, being an experienced educator somewhere, we still feel that we are, at least I feel that I'm performing every day in my class, and sometimes I have to actually act, absolutely act. My behavior and my act changes depending on not my mood, but also who is in front of me, whether they are attentive, sleepy, distracted, or the topic that I am teaching is boring or it is challenging. So I change the style that I or act that I put on. You can ask it, to even give you ideas on how to motivate or how to present a topic. That can be here, but you are looking at presentation skills that you may want to improve. And then you can say, okay, now, we would like to revise or review the first point. So that is, one way. You can also use this career guide as, you can add here a file, maybe a copy of your resume. You can add along with it also maybe profile of a job that has a vacancy that has come up, and say, does my profile match that vacancy and that institution's goals? So you have a website of a particular institution where you're applying, put all the three together, and you will be surprised at how it compares it across and gives you an idea and a guidance in terms of what are the skills that you actually lack. And that can be done actually in directly Gemini as well. So this is something which is possible in many cases, but here right now, gems have a very specific role. They'll only talk about what they are built for. Brainstormer, again, find inspiration easily. So what kind of brainstorming? Because I saw some of you responding to that. It could be academic brainstorming. It could also be help me plan a large family reunion to host at my house, right? So that kind of brainstorming can also go. But let's create our own gem now, and more specific to the needs of as an academician. So I did show you a list that I had ready earlier, and I'm going to just try and copy paste something from there to start off, and then look at some information coming in there. So let's see. I want to use, I'm not changing this screen right now, but let's um, find the right one for easy demonstration. Okay. Let me see if I have missed a particular one. Okay. Maybe I'm just going to go because the other prompts that I've kept ready, they look little too detailed. Let's do it just on the spot, fresh as it is. So suppose I'm looking for as a I want to create a gem which is going to give me ideas for my lessons. I want to start or use gems as and when needed to give me a good way to start the my a particular topic, but I don't want to create it for a particular topic. So I'm going to call it maybe hook maker. So hook maker as a hook to start a lesson. So again, I'm going to give instructions here, and you can see it is giving you something in the background as a suggestion as to what format you must follow. So I'm going to give instructions. You are a faculty at higher ed teaching, let's say, physics. Your task is to create short, interesting um, activity to energize my students, energize and motivate my students. So that is what I have said. And let's see if this is going to be enough for it to do the job. What I can also do is I can link some files, which could be, some files from here, which can be coming from your local storage or from drive. For example, certain curriculum documents that you may want, you can link those. If these three lines are not adequate, you may try to use the Gemini to rewrite these instructions, because I've given a very bare sketch, so I'm not too sure if Gemini would even accept it or will remodify it. But let's give it a time and see if it would do that. Oh well, it's done its magic. Let's revisit now what it has done to the gem. Act as hookmaker, a faculty member teaching physics at a higher education institution. Your primary task is to create short, interesting, engaging activities designed to energize and motivate students at the start of a class or a new topic. And then it gives that entire purpose and goals, etc. So, all of these are the instructions that this gem is going to follow. Let's see what it has. It goes even down to what are the concepts, 5 minutes, under 5 minutes, minimal preparations or resources. They must make the physics relatable. Initial inquiry should be there, acknowledgement of your role, etc. Ask the user, the instructor, the specific topic they're about to teach, and ask for the student's demographic. I didn't ask Gemini to do that. It has automatically populated these as the requirements. You can test run this gem right here before you save it to see if it is functioning as you expected. So I like to always nudge it by saying just hi, and let's see what and how it performs. And this is the reply I am getting. I hope you can read this. Hello, I'm you, Hookmaker, a fellow faculty member in physics. I understand you are looking for some quick, energize, and engaging activities, and so on. And to craft the hook, I need a little more information. So it's going in the right direction. I'm going to save it. And then let's see how it works. Let's start chat. Hookmaker is now clean surface, no other instructions, prompts, nothing is visible. All of that is going to run in the background. So again, I can start with just hi and then see how or what expectations does this gem has and what are the questions I need to answer. So to craft the perfect hook, I need a little context. What specific physics concept or topic are you about to introduce? So you can, now put yourself in my place and think about, I didn't do anything. I just gave a very basic requirement of what I'm going to ask this gem maybe every third day. So I'm not going to compose my prompt saying, today I'm teaching so and so, and I'm looking for an idea. I have the hook ready. I'm just going to say, okay. And because there are two questions, I'm going to put number one, what, topic I'm going to use. So maybe let me choose conservation of energy, but I can choose anything. I can talk about circuits. I can talk about, thermodynamics. I can look at any other concept that you might be teaching at any level. What is typical student demographic? First year students, upper level, non-science majors. So I do have, possibility that I might have non-science majors. Tell me if I'm wrong, but there is a possibility some non-science majors might have taken physics as their subsidiary, right? I have students in our schools nowadays asking humanities, but they want physics alongside. World is completely wide open. So I want to teach conservation of energy, but my students are non-science majors. What kind of a hook would work well in a classroom like that? And the Gemini is going to create that. So it has created not only the activity, it has given you a name, the coin's last stand, some catchy title, magic of the perpetual roller, and it has given you the activity description, estimated time, also connected physics, the concept of law of conservation of mechanical energy. As the coin rolls, kinetic energy is smoothly converted into gravitational potential, etc. All you need is one smooth large bowl and one heavy coin, and you are ready to do that experiment with your class, to just say, okay, what did you observe, what changed, what didn't change. I hope someone in this room is with the physics background and would realize that you can use that as a hook just to get the attention of the students. I like these hooks because as a maths teacher, sometimes I would not have a clue as to where to start my class in an interesting manner, other than saying, okay, let's see what we did yesterday. I hope some of you feel that. And if you are very young, you will need these ideas more. If you are very experienced in the room, all the more reason you need such ideas so that you can take this forward in your conversations. So, again, it's also talked about projector screen, image or short video of a roller coaster. So many ideas. Now field is, open for you. Which one would you like to take, and then move on. And then it says, okay, would you like me to do for other physics concepts? We need only one for one day. But next time, again, suppose you have closed this, gone back to your chat, come back to Hookmaker. It's there in your account. It will show you the recent conversation, but you have to start all over again. And all is going to do is going to ask you the same two questions, and you can only respond to them in minimal words, and it will do the magic for you. So that's the beauty of gems in Gemini, which I hope you would utilize, and you would be happy to go and research a little more on that. Okay, so since going by the feedback that I've taken, many of you are familiar with Notebook LM. Would you be still interested to take a look at the Notebook LM? Is the question that's coming to my mind. But we'll ask the organizers if it is okay. They haven't had a session on Notebook LM so far, because last time it so happened that you have already had a Notebook LM session. So checking with the organizers if it's okay to take 10 minutes on Notebook LM.
You can.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. You can take.
Okay, good. So because again, it's important that you should be using something which is free, right? So you don't need a license for Gemini, all the Gemini 2.5 Flash that we have talked about. Recommendation is use for education account, but right now I'm showcasing with my consumer account, and it is good. It's giving you good results. Similar to that, you have access with your consumer account to Notebook LM as well, and of course education account as well. And Notebook LM, as it the uh, buzz has been around, is magical. It is changing the way that we are using AI safely. And the key term and the buzzwords that we always associate Notebook LM is that it is your personalized AI expert. Personalized AI expert to the extent that it will only talk to the sources that you share, rather than going into open and looking at all those 100 websites that we talked about when we looked at the deep research. It does not hallucinate, therefore, because when we look at the AI, then the major concern or fear that we have is it might hallucinate, it might be biased, because more the data that it is is skewed, the response will also be skewed. So that is one of the concern of using AI, which has been constantly present and concerning. Notebook LM is your, as I read the subtitle there, your AI powered research partner. You will identify the sources that need to go into the Notebook LM. whether it is 3, 1, or at the most 50 resources that you can use. You can build that notebook focused on those, whether resources are PDFs, their website links, YouTube videos, docs or slides that are lying in your drive, or handwritten notes as well. All kind of resources. And as I was just saying at the beginning, the latest that I read today is you will be able to use Google Sheets, which are in your drive, as your source. So for the data analysis, you have that content which you could, of course, put into the PDF and then use. But now it will also act on the content like data, Google Slides. So as you see in my account, I have number of books that I might have created as in a demo. These were done actually just yesterday as I did the live session for NCRT. But these books are going to remain in your account, and you will be able to see the possibility of creating 100 books with 50 sources and the varied kind of sources that can be used. If you have never created a notebook, you will be able to see some featured books which are available in consumer accounts, but in education account they are not available or selectively available. But these only will show up at the beginning. If you have never created, then you can always get a button to say let's start creating or create new notebook. And this is where you will be able to create the notebook. And as you open up, there's a pop-up coming here to add sources. Let's close it for a minute to understand the interface of Notebook LM. It has 3 panels. One of them is sources panel. The middle one is the chat panel. And the other third is the more, one would say, attractive one, because it's going to create all kind of outputs, very correctly named as a studio, because it's going to build audio overviews, video, mind map, reports, even flashcards and quiz. So this is the magic, and this is where the magic would happen. If I click on add source, this little pop-up comes up. You can choose file from your local storage, Google Drive, website links, YouTube links, copied text, and paste text here. Copy from any digital content. And as I said, if you have a handwritten note, you can actually take the image of that and you will be able to do also. So you can, do that, and I can upload some of those files. So just for the purpose, what I used yesterday, I'm going to use exactly that. So I have 2 PDFs here of NCRT textbooks ready. I'm going to use some school level book, but that does not really matter what text, what source you might use. And I can take another one here, and you will be ready to start talking and seeing highlighted. Even if there's only one source added in, the chat panel gets activated. So it's reading the text in these sources, and it's ready to then converse with you. So it says exactly what these are made of. It's a study guide or problem set, and then you are also looking at some kind of a acknowledgement of where it is coming from. Now suppose I want to interact with these 2 sources only, I'm happy to, then I can continue. Or if I want to search for more sources, but I don't have a PDF, I don't have one would say YouTube video in available with me, or I'm not too sure where to look for it, there is a discover button, and I can describe something that I would like to learn. So I can say I want to continue with this, right? Atoms and molecules of topic of grade 9, and you can do the suitable for your level, CBSC. And let's see if there are more content available on web which I can take as a source. Again, of course, you must have faith in that source, because you would want to have the correct information only coming in. So you can see, of course, there is an academic syllabus, CBSE, there is some other content, from an institution kind of, or a website. So you need to be sure as to which one you want. So I'm not taking all of them, but let me take one video. Okay, so there's a class 9 under 10 minutes concept, and I can say formula making for class 9. Let's see if that would be good enough. So again, when we talk about videos, it's not going to take any graphics from there. Textbooks, no graphics will be used. It will only work on the text content. And you can now start chatting with it. So suppose I'm looking at this concept of atoms and molecules of class 9, and I want to learn something from there. Some prompts are automatically showing right at the bottom. I can use any one of these concepts. How are mole concepts applied to calculate masses and particular counts? Maybe if this is something which is bothering me, I want to learn, then I can ask that as a question, and it will start responding to me on that. You can see it's working, and it will give me that answer here. Now it's replied to the question which was coming as a prompt, but you can give your own question. What I also would like you to pay attention to are these little numbers that are showing up along with this text. So these are what you call as the inline citations. Where have you got this information? So now start thinking about it as a research assistant. You have collected different papers on a topic which you are interested in. You have used those papers as your source, and now you are putting together your own research paper. You have to give citations. Every sentence that you have is being picked from a book or the content here, because I have one of them is exemplar of NCRT, which is collection of questions. So it's picked from there. If you look at maybe this one, it's again from a certain problem. For example, the number of moles of magnesium can be calculated from its weight using its atomic mass. Where has this information come from? It's giving that idea. I can also look at, maybe click on any one of these numbers, and it will open up that entire source for me. So this is one of the advantage that you will have when you are using multiple papers from various other authors, and you want to give them the due citation as well, and also look at using the information, putting together and building your own research. Okay, so I'm going to clear this chat history and focus on few other things that can be done. You can also look at these artifacts that have been people have been talking about. I hope some of you have experienced audio overview, video, mind map, reports, flashcards, quiz. So if you are want to review a topic with your class also, you have the sources that you have used to teach the content. Put those sources here, and then click on flashcards. It will create the collection of flashcards. I did that without thinking too much about it, but if I didn't want it, I could have clicked on this pen icon and chosen that I want fewer number of cards. I want them to be easy, medium, hard. I can choose the level of difficulty. What would you want these flashcards to focus on? I can also restrict the point of discussion. I can say, no, I want to only talk about what these topics cover. uh, Again, there are two laws that are being covered in this chapter. I can mention exactly those laws and say the flashcard should only restrict to these two subtopics rather than full chapter, and it will generate those flashcards for me. Let's see if I have a set of flashcards here. You can see that I have flashcards that have now been created. And what did the Indian philosopher Maharishi Kannad postulate about matter around 500 BC? Well, I don't know actually what it means. So, what can I do? I can click on this flashcard and it will give me an answer. It will also help you as a explanatory tool because it's based on the sources that are available right there. So it'll fetch that data from there and you can have a discussion with your class based on the discussion that dependent on what who and who you are teaching. So you can have a collection of 80 cards being created, too many. But now we have option of customizing these cards, focusing on something which is restricted. So again, keeping the time that we have in our hand, I'm going to take you to a pre-prepared notebook to show you the ideas or the various possibilities that are possible from here. Let's take you to this one. Those audio, video overviews, mind maps, etc., that I can create. So I have some of them created here. Let's take a look at a video to begin with. And I hope here. Could you hear? Is the audio clear of the what I have just played? Then only I'll continue. Otherwise, we'll put the video on mute. Yes, no? Anyone? Okay, yes, thank you. So we are looking at some of you are saying yes. So I'm going to go with yes. Play for a minute, not minute, even lesser, and then move on. But you can see that just with those sources. So the style, look at the format of that video. It's very impressive, colorful, all created by Nano Banana in Notebook LM. So you can choose the kind of style that video might have. This is just additional information that I'm sharing with you. But what you're looking at is a possibility of creating these artifacts in beautiful fashion at the same time, because it is multilingual as well, 50 plus languages, 9 regional languages as well. You can create audio overviews in different languages. English. So again, not too sure if you all can hear. I also have it available in Bangla. Couldn't be too sure if you have heard it, but my Bangla friend said that the language is rather more difficult Bangla than the local that we speak, but it was giving exact information that podcast style conversation in English was giving. So you can choose to create these various video or audio overviews. Again, if I want to create video overview, instead of clicking in the center, click on the pen icon and then you can customize it. Do you want an explainer or a brief, or what language you want, and what art style you want? You can choose any one of them. What do you want it to be focused on? Because these sources can also be heavy, they can be much more detailed um, documents. You don't want to cover all of them in brief video, so you can focus and customize these videos on a subtopic. So again, think of the possibilities this bring to you. People are creating podcast because each of these audios can be downloaded. Students are hearing more than reading. So you can share these as podcasts with your students, create your own podcast channel, put it on Spotify or anywhere else, and grow your content there. Possibilities are immense. Quiz feature, again, as we may look at it, is interesting enough to bring that interaction in your class. Here is my chemistry quiz, and I can again start discussing this with the students. If I don't know the answer, or if the students give a wrong answer, there is an immediate feedback that comes in. And if you are in and you are a user of Google Workspace for education, then you can assign these notebook LMs in your Google Classroom as well. Not only notebook LM, but the gems also. And you will be able to kind of follow up, see how many students have interacted, how many students have not used the notebook LM. Students will not be able to delete any of these resources that have been, or sources that have been done added in the notebook, but they will be able to interact and see all these artifacts that you have created here to learn and to make use of. So that's the magic of notebook LM. I hope you are motivated, excited to try this out. And I do hope that today's time spent here has been worth, and you're going to take this forward and make your learning and teaching journey exciting. So with that, I'm going to wrap up and thank all the organizers for having me here. We'll be happy to take some questions if the audience is keen on that. Any questions, anyone? Okay. All right. I guess everyone is tired. So we'll wrap up here. Um, Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for those insightful session. So if any participant have any question, he or she can ask the question.
Okay. I don't think they are very much energized right now. They're all tired. So hoping that you will give feedback to the organizers if you had learned anything, because right now you haven't responded to my any of the queries and questions that have come in. So disappointed on that, but happy to have been here and contributed to your learning journey.
So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. So
All
with
right.
this, I conclude today's session. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Bye, everyone.